it is my own personal retelling. Are you ready? One beautiful summer evening, a princess was playing with her big golden ball. She threw it up high, and she caught it, and she threw it up higher, and she caught it, and she threw it up higher and higher this time, and she dropped it, and it rolled, and it rolled, and it rolled, until it went all the way down into a big, dark pond. Princess, she walked over to the pond, and she peered in, and she couldn't see the bottom, and so she couldn't see the ball. And so she started to cry because the ball was her very favorite toy. Well, while she was there crying, a little green frog with big, beady eyes popped its head out of the water and said, "Princess! Why are you crying, my honey, my heart? Why are you crying, my darling?" Yeah, it was a talking frog, a singing frog. Can you believe it? Well, the princess told the frog about her ball and how it had gotten lost in the bottom of the pond. Well, the frog said, "Princess, I can help you, but only if you let me eat from your royal plate and let me sleep on your royal pillow." Well, the princess decided to promise because the frog was just a frog, right? Well, the very next evening, the princess was sitting down to her royal feast when all of a sudden she heard a little froggy feet coming up the marble staircase, and she heard a tap, tap, tap at the bottom of the door. And she heard a very familiar croaky voice saying, "Open the door, my honey, my heart. Open the door, my darling. Remember the promise you gave in the woods. Remember your promise to love me." The princess was disgusted, and she really did not want to open that door. So she told her mother, the queen, about the promise that she had made in the woods after losing her ball. The queen said, "My dear, princesses always keep their promises. Now you go and you open that door." The princess walked towards that door. She put her hand out, and out popped the little frog, all the way through the hallway and all the way to her royal seat. He looked up at her with his big, beady eyes, and he said, "Let me eat from your plate, my honey, my heart. Let me eat from your plate, my darling. Remember the promise you gave in the woods. Remember your promise to love me." Princess looked down at that cold, wet, slimy thing, and she looked at her mother, and her mother said, "Princesses keep their promises." And so the princess took that frog, and she set it on her lap, and she fed it from her royal plate with a little spoon until it had had its fill and it could not eat another bite. Well, after dinner, the frog, of course, again croaked in his croaky voice, "Take me to your bed, my honey, my heart. Take me to your bed, my darling. Remember the promise you gave in the woods. Remember your promise to love me." The princess shivered, but she took that frog and she brought him into her bedroom. She marched in, she put him down on her royal pillow, and all night she let him sleep by her side. Well, when dawn was breaking the next day, the princess, she got up, and she noticed that, there was that frog. He was still here. He didn't really say much, but after a little bit of time had passed, he hopped off, and he just hopped all the way down the marble staircase and through the door. And the princess thought, "Phew, I never have to see that thing again. Thank goodness." She was wrong. Yeah, he's gonna come back, right? He did. The very next night.
Also, he still has to see Princess get the ball. I think.
Well, she already got the ball back, but she made a promise, so something's gonna happen. This is what happened. The next night, she sat down to her royal feast, and she heard the of little froggy feet on the staircase, and she heard the ch-ch-ch-ch, and she heard the very familiar "Open the door, my honey, my heart." She was like, "Oh my gosh, not again!" But she knew that she needed to keep her promise, and so she went and she did the same thing. She opened the door, the froggy hop, hop, hop. She fed from her royal plate, and that evening she let him sleep again on her royal pillow. The next morning, she woke up again, and this time, while she was waking up, the frog already had hopped off without saying a word. And when she saw him go, she had a moment where she looked at him and thought, he is kind of a pretty thing. A nice shade of green. But, I'm done with him. I'm done. I'm never going to see him again. So it's fine. Do you think she's going to see him again?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, she was wrong. That same night, for the third night in a row, the frog came up. She fed from her royal plate. She set him on her royal pillow, and she fell asleep. However, this time, when she woke up, she stretched out as dawn was breaking, and she looked over at her pillow, and there was no frog. And she found herself really sad and lonely because the frog was gone. And she thought to herself, where is my frog, my honey, my heart? Where is my frog, my daughter? And suddenly, a different voice came from the head of her bed. This was not the croaky voice of a frog. Oh no. This voice was much different. And it said, here I am, my honey, my heart. Here I am, my darling. She looked up and she saw that the frog had turned into a prince, and that the frog and the prince were the same, and that she loved him. Well, a lot of time passed, and the prince and the princess were married. And of course, in all of the deep and darkest and most royal of stories, the prince and the princess lived